Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dislife Podcast. I am your host, Mark Valentine, Disney enthusiast, annual pass holder, and DVC member. As always, we are honored that you are joining our show today and helping us live our very best Disney lives. We have an incredibly fun episode today as we welcome Marina Mouse to the show to discuss her super fun podcast, Mini Bows and Magic, as well as Marina Mouse Vlogs. And the two of us will give some love to Animal Kingdom as we discuss Marina's can't miss dining, attractions, and experiences. If this is your first time joining the show, welcome home. You can find all of our episodes over at www.disneyLifePodcast.com, as well as read our upcoming blog posts from our contributors. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe, download your favorites, and leave us a rating and a 5-star review. So joining the show today is one of our favorite podcasters and a vlog that we came across a few weeks ago. Today joining the Dislife Podcast is Marina Mouse from Marina Mouse Vlogs, and she also has this wonderful podcast that we have been listening to every single week. She has twice a week that she releases it, called Mini Bows and Magic. Marina, welcome to the Dislife Podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. Have you been living your best Disney life?
I have to. I mean, what else could anyone do in the times that we're in right now?
Absolutely. And that's why we started this. For us, it was to escape all of that. So yeah, I get you 100%.
You have to keep all things Disney in your life at all times.
All times. So Marina, I start the show with almost all of my guests, and I ask them to share their Disney story or the beginning of their Disney lives with the show. What was it for you that started your Disney obsession? Was it a movie? Was it a show? Was it a trip as a child that you loved? What was your favorite, memory that really started your love affair with Disney?
So the first time I went to Disney, I was like 3 months old. Like I have a picture of Mickey holding me like swaddled as an infant. And I think just like my family has always been very, like I went to see my first Broadway show when I was 5 and it was Beauty and the Beast. So I've always had Disney in my blood. I've always been a Disney family, Christmas ornaments, movies, everything. But my cousin Christy planned a 5K for us in 2014, I think it was. And it like and I was going to Disney almost every year, but it like reinvigorated my love for Disney. And that's when I started planning my own Disney trips because I was always like, just go with the flow and do what everyone else does. And I booked a trip. I think the 5K was in like March, and I booked a trip with my now fiance in October of that year. And when I tell you the like 9-page itinerary of everything that like down to bathroom breaks and like you have 50 seconds to tie your shoes from 2 to 2:01, I really was like, I want to experience everything. And since then I was going like every 3 months. I then joined DVC in 2019. And since then I really became like an adult who appreciated Disney for everything it has to offer.
That's so fun. We're the same way. And a lot of my guests have actually said the same thing. They grew up with Disney, but it wasn't really until, almost everyone, it was like post 2010.
Yeah.
That they rediscovered Disney. We were the same way. My wife and I went when we were in our 20s. We're in our 40s now. And then when my daughter hit the age of 3, that's when our Disney obsession started. We took her just for a family vacation, and then seeing it through her eyes reinvigorated us. And then the same thing as you, like we became DVC members in 2017. We go 2 and 3 times a year. And now, the podcast really started for the two of us to just keep like that good feeling going. We would hate the Tragical Express, and we would always have that
Tragical Express.
You have the letdown.
Yeah.
That when you left, you always would want to like keep that Disney life going and that Disney vibe going. So this last August, we started the podcast to like stay in the bubble.
Yeah, I get it.
So what's your favorite park?
So I love Magic Kingdom. Like, who doesn't? That's always been my favorite. But as I've gotten older, I have a very, very strong appreciation for Epcot, especially during festival times. I'm a big foodie. I'm 100% Italian. Eating is my life. Like, I love food. And I really love to experience World Showcase in Epcot as an adult. So it's always going to be Magic Kingdom. That's always going to be my answer. But Epcot is rising to that really close number 2 spot.
See, I was the reverse. Growing up, like I was a weird younger kid that I loved the edutainment. And like, I love the pavilions. Like most little kids don't say they love Epcot. So growing up.
No, I used to be like, skip Epcot.
Yeah, growing up, I loved Epcot. And now the older I've gotten, I mean, and my wife and I talked about this too. I think some of it's also the current construction going on at Epcot.
Oh yeah. It is really tough to navigate.
I can't wait though. I mean, aren't you excited? Like loving that park now. How excited are you? Like even with everything going on, we've got Ratatouille coming out. They're going to do all these updates just to the traffic flow. There's new attractions. There's, all of these new ideas that are being injected into the park as far as like new IP is coming. I'm so psyched for Epcot. Like I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm weird. I'm a person that hates change, but I'm always excited that Disney is ever changing. And like you have those people that just don't get it. They just don't have the Disney gene. And they're like, you're going to Disney again. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to Disney again because there's so many things changing. But I'm excited for all the new that's coming to even like the new Tron ride in Magic Kingdom is going to be awesome. I love big rides. Like I'm a huge roller coaster junkie, but even like Ratatouille and Epcot, I think will be really cute. They just opened. I'm a huge Beauty and the Beast fan. Like Belle is my person. And I actually have a podcast coming out. I don't know when this is going to be released, but releasing October 16th on Beauty and the Beast. And it's my longest podcast yet because it's like the GOAT of all episodes. But Tokyo just released the new Beauty and the Beast ride, and I watched it on YouTube, and I had a moment. Like, I need to go to Tokyo, and I need that to come to Florida. Like, and they opened the Beauty and the Beast sing-along in Epcot. I love it. I love new stuff at Disney that you get to experience.
So Magic Kingdom is your favorite park. What's your favorite ride?
Tower of Terror.
Oh.
I love it. So my fiance doesn't like big rides, and I cheat the system a little bit. I take his Magic Band and I use his Fast Pass, and I always ask permission. I always say like, this is my favorite ride, and my fiance's a chicken, and I still can't get him to come on with me, but I had to get Fast Pass because it's my favorite, and I want to go on again. Can I please use his Magic Band and use his Fast Pass? And they always say yes, because you have to be nice about it, and it's just one person. I'm a single rider on it, but I could go on that ride continuously and never get sick of it.
So I don't know if you had a chance to check out, we had our Thrill Rides episode where we did our top 15 thrill rides.
Was it you or your wife that hates the big rides?
It was me.
Oh, man. I got to go to Disney with your wife.
So it was me. I was the chicken. And this last trip was the first time I ever went on Tower of Terror. You can't get me off it now.
I love it.
I know. I love it so much.
Yeah.
That the regret I have is why was I such a chicken my entire life?
My cousin's the same way. We released a roller coaster episode and she didn't. Christy, how old were you when you started liking roller coasters? Like 20? Like there were years that we would go to Disney or would go to Six Flags and she wouldn't go on the rides.
That was me.
And she has like remorse as to like all the years that she missed out. You got to just do it. Aerosmith was my first roller coaster and my little brother's also. So I started young.
I have to do a TED talk of overcoming the anxiety and the fear of roller coasters. Because when I tell you, I would not get on it because I had like a childhood trauma of a roller coaster. And when my daughter was 3, I said, this is it. I'm going to change this behavior in myself.
Yeah.
And I set out to like create benchmarks and like little markings where it was like, okay, like my anxiety would go up to like a 10. Okay, well now what can I do to manage that? I really like when I tell you I have done everything to become that guy. I'm so proud of that too, that I'm now like a thrill ride junkie.
I have anxiety with driving, but thankfully I've never had anxiety with roller coasters. I love big rides. Like there's no ride that's too big for me. So
tell me about your, cause I love your podcast and I love the vlogs. Yeah. Tell me about Marina Mouse Vlogs and Mini Bows and Magic.
So I started Marina Mouse Vlogs in June of 2019. And really it was because I went to a Magic Kingdom Moonlight Magic event in January of 2019. I think it was January. And I met Belle and Beast together, which doesn't happen ever. Like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And it was like meeting the epitome of all celebrities. I was hysterically crying after I met them. It like changed my life. And my cousin Christy taped it. and it is hilarious. I cry happy tears every time I go to Disney. It is the funniest, most embarrassing video of my life. And once that happened, she was like, so she taped me then every time we went. And then in June, I was like, all right, I'm starting up a vlog. So I started my YouTube and my Instagram. I really love my Instagram. I post almost every day. I love taking Disney pictures. And then the podcast started like a month or two ago. Like she was like, we're not vlogging, we're not in the parks. And vlogging is really hard. Like, I have to be honest, it's not my favorite thing to do. And Christy, my cousin, who's my producer, was like, we're going to start a podcast. And I was like, amazing. And it's really just, you do it for you to talk about your Disney memories and talk about your expertise and like little tricks that you learn along the way in Disney. Like, you just want to tell other people about.
I mean, I love it. And before we came to air, I told you, and I genuinely love the podcast. It's very light. It's very friendly. I love the back and forth that you have with your guests, that it has like everything that we're about here. As I listen to your podcast, I'm like, now this is someone that I just get and I understand, because you have, there's so much magic and there's so much Disney magic to that podcast that the episodes, they're just so fun and easy to consume.
Yeah, it's like reliving that Disney trip. It's like you get it twice.
Check it out. Subscribe to her podcast. It is on Apple Podcasts. What other directories can they find you on? With Mini Bows and Magic is the name. What other directories?
Yeah, it's called Mini Bows and Magic. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. And we're on SoundCloud. But I think podcast and Spotify are the top two places to get all the new episodes. And we post every Friday at 3 p.m.
It's once a week that you release content?
So the first month we did twice a week just because I wanted there to be enough content. But okay. I think now we're going to once a week. I'm sure that like if we do a big trip, maybe we'll record a couple episodes, but Friday is always like a guarantee that you'll get a new Mini Bows and Magic episode.
Yeah, we like to release on Friday too, to have something that people can have over the weekend to consume.
Yeah, if you're driving home from work and ready to start your weekend, 3:00, put on the podcast.
Now, I do want to transition because I loved the one episode that we had Lori Willie was on the show this week, and we talked about her blog, Enchanting Escapes. And I said, when I read your blog, I nod. So when I was listening to this one podcast episode on Animal Kingdom, I just found myself nodding as you were talking about Moonlight Magic. So 2 weeks ago, you did an amazing podcast on your trip to Animal Kingdom for the DVC Moonlight Magic event.
Yes.
I loved that episode itself. So I wanted to, if it's okay, could we talk a little bit about Animal Kingdom?
100%. When is it not okay to talk about Disney?
I'm going to I feel guilty. This is episode 11. And I feel so guilty because I feel like I really haven't given Animal Kingdom a lot of love. On our Thrill Ride episode, we talked about Everest. But other than that, like I really feel like holistically, I didn't give Animal Kingdom its due.
I have to be honest, I'm in the same boat as you also. Like Animal Kingdom, I feel guilty about because it is such a great park.
It is.
But if I'm doing a short Disney trip, which I tend to go multiple times a year, but for very short periods of time. So if I'm going for 3 or 4 days, I might not go to Animal Kingdom. And that breaks my heart because it's not necessarily my least favorite park, but it's definitely a half-day park. And like I'm an annual pass holder, so I can park hop. But sometimes the people that I'm with don't have hoppers. And if we have to skip a park, it's Animal Kingdom. And I miss it because Animal Kingdom is a great park.
You took the words right out of my mouth. The problem was this last trip that we took in August, because you can't park hop anymore. And because it really is, in many regards, a half-day park, we would almost feel like we were wasting that park pass day because we would go in the morning, and with the lines being as low as they were, I'm not joking when I say we did the entire park like once over by 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah. You really have to have other things planned on your, like have a nice dinner reservation or do a pool day, or like if you're doing a Moonlight Magic or a ticketed event is a great time to use a park ticket and then do something else.
And it's August. So Pandora, you're not getting the illumination at night, and Animal Kingdom was closing at 6. So we would almost like the same thing. We would feel so guilty because we love Animal Kingdom, and yet we neglected it. And it was an 11-day stay. We neglected it.
Wow.
So we felt really bad. Like after it, I almost felt guilty.
Yeah, I get it. But I do think that where Animal Kingdom is lacking. And I totally understand that Animal Kingdom doesn't have fireworks. I'm a huge animal lover.
Yeah.
Don't do that to those sweet creatures. But they don't have a great nighttime show.
They don't.
No,
and it's gone.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not that sad about it. But like the Lion King, Festival of the Lion King is incredible.
Yeah.
If you could turn something like that and do like your Pixar and your animal movies and make it like a collaboration between like the Lion King and Fantasmic, you have a great potential for a nighttime show. Like Fantasmic is one of the most underrated nighttime shows. I love it. It's in Hollywood Studios. It is great. And I think Animal Kingdom has a lot of potential.
So here's the crazy thing. So in my head, and I've said this to other people, I've pitched the idea for a nighttime spectacular of filling in the lake where you had rivers of light, make it like a giant circus-like space, huge, gigantic, with animals as part of the show, and almost like a Cirque du Soleil, over the top, lights, acrobatics, no pyrotechnics, but like water effects and projections.
Yeah.
Something like in that open air amphitheater that would kind of combine the natural landscape, the animals together. But I would love to see something instead of what they've got going on there. And I think they could do it.
I think they could even use those big barges and make them, to your point, like little mini Cirque du Soleil shows about animals. Like bring the monkeys from the Lion King show and have them flip on the barge. And like even with Fantasmic, I love that show, but it's because I love the ferry at the end with all the characters. Get them all on those different barges and do scenes from each movie or each like animal themed Disney thing and make it a show. And, you know, let's sign the contract with Disney and get our names on it.
I have utter faith, and I've said this in multiple episodes, and it bears repeating, so I'm going to say it again. I have utter faith in Disney always.
Oh, 100%. I trust anything Disney does.
I trust anything. And I lament when a ride goes away. But then, like, Great Movie Ride was the example I used with my wife when we talked about, I loved Great Movie Ride. I almost cried when it went away. But the Runaway Railway is so good that it solidified that always trust Disney concept. No matter what they replace it with, it's going to be great.
Yeah. So this is the only thing that kills me about Disney. And I understand why they do it, because you have to disperse crowds. But they do opening day of multiple things on the same day. And it drives me insane because my last day of my last trip was March 4th. It was opening day of Runaway Railway and opening day of Flower Garden Festival. And I was like, Disney, are you kidding me?
They made you choose.
How I was so heartbroken. I was like, how could you make me choose this? And we picked Flower Garden Festival.
I think they do that intentionally.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They do it intentionally to disperse the crowd, and they figure that you're going to make that decision that, you know,
I don't like it.
Railway's not going anywhere, but this is a time sensitive festival. So if you were traveling and you're not coming back for another 2 months, you're going to pick that.
Yeah. And I mean, they did that with my Animal Kingdom. DVC was the first day of their Villains After Hours event. And I was like, seriously? Like, I was so upset. But the Villains After Hour event didn't have character meets, and I'm a big character gal. And we ended up going to Animal Kingdom DVC, and I have no regrets because it was incredible. I absolutely loved it.
So I want to get into like Marina Mouse's, we don't have to do 5, but like your can't miss picks for Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
And some of these can come, no, that's okay. Some of these can come right from your episode. And like, you can kind of take these out and promote your episode. Cause if you've said them already, it's fine. Like I want our audience to hear them as well. But I love, and I don't know if you're going to share this story in particular, but what would be your can't miss dining?
You know what I'm going to say.
I know what you're going to say because I love the episode.
It was the first time that I experienced Flame Tree Barbecue, and I have that like lifetime remorse of like, why have I not eaten there ever? And I love the Anandapur Market. They have like a really good like beef teriyaki bowl with like white rice on the bottom. Like it's really good. But the Flame Tree Barbecue is so delicious.
It's so good
that I now recommend if you're eating in Animal Kingdom. Like, I don't care if you're going on Expedition Everest and then downing a pulled pork sandwich. Like, commit to it and do it and move on. It is amazing.
I was giggling uncontrollably as you told that story. in your episode. I loved that story about your first experience at Flame Tree, where you're saying, hey, and then like the vlogger in you is saying, oh wait, we got to get pictures of the meal. And the only problem was the meal was gone. I started giggling. I was like, I've done that so many times where even before the podcast, I would look at the meal and want to take that perfect Instagrammable picture, only to realize like I've devoured, if not 3/4 of it already, or it's gone. And then you're like,
It was so good. And that's really one of the biggest challenges with vlogging. I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And the meal was free because of the DVC event. So like tackle on your best meal and it's free. And I was like, this is going to be delicious. And I was with my girlfriends and we all shared a different food because again, I'm a foodie. Like I was like, I want to try everything. Can we all share a piece? Otherwise I'm getting 3 meals for myself. Oh my God. Like we finished everything. And I was like, seriously, I'm taking a picture of this plate of like one wilty piece of lettuce because it was so good.
Yeah. Flame Tree is it's a can't miss.
Oh, so good.
2 or 3 trips ago was the first time that we did it as well. And we said the same thing. Why have we not come to Flame Tree Barbecue before?
Yeah, I highly recommend.
What would you say is your favorite ride at Animal Kingdom?
So Expedition Everest is my number 2 ride, like period. Like if I'm listing my top 10, Everest is my number 2. So I absolutely love Expedition Everest. I think it is a great roller coaster, the best roller coaster in all of Disney, like better than Mine Train, better than Slinky Dog. Honestly, I like it more than Aerosmith. It is just a really great ride. So that's definitely it. And I love the Kilimanjaro Safari. So that's my food and 2 rides is my 3 tops.
You know, the great thing about the Safari too, you mentioned this with the parks or just Disney vacations. The Safari, you get something new every single time that you're on.
Oh, yeah. And I love the zoo. Like I'm from New York. So like we all go to the Bronx Zoo. I love the zoo. But that ride is incredible. And we actually went on it when we did the DVC event and it was like twilight. Like it was almost too dark for the ride, but not too dark for the ride.
Yeah.
And they were so moving around. It was awesome. And my fiance, Chris, and I are actually going to Disney in January. And this poor guy, like I'm a power Disney girl. So I will run him ragged. Like we will be up at 6 a.m. and back at the hotel at midnight. And I said like, all right, we got engaged. Like you can kind of plan this trip. And we're doing one of the Animal Kingdom animal tours. I think that we decided on the rhinos, but they have a bunch of different ones. So I'm really excited to do that and like get a different view of Kilimanjaro Safari.
Was your fiance a Disney guy before he met you or have you converted him?
No, I don't know if I've necessarily converted him, but he's always loved Disney. He went to Disney with his family. His aunt and uncle actually live in Florida, and they were both cast members at one point. So I don't think that he had experienced Disney to my level. And I definitely have, it's something that we love together, but he loves Disney movies. So he was definitely a Disney guy from the beginning.
That's awesome. I always love it when people can share that together. And Lori was talking about Dwayne and how the two of them share that passion. It's the same thing with my wife, Linda, and I. You know, we're Disney partners. So as passionate as I am about Disney, she is equally as passionate, if not more so. So it's just great when you go on vacation that you can look at your partner and know that they're digging it as much as you are.
Yeah, like he gets excited for our trips and he's not like a big ride guy. So I always say like, what are you most excited for? And his answer is always like, just to experience Disney with you. Like he just likes the memories that we make on our vacations together, which is cute because, you know,
that is cute.
Him
That's
meeting
sweet.
The princesses is not his thing. And I'm like, can we meet Belle, please? And he's like, yeah. And he just laughs at me because I'm like a goober in the parks. I get all excited.
I love it. So what would you say is your hidden gem? Something that maybe doesn't get talked about a lot on social media or, you know, the podcasting community. What would you say is Marina Mouse's hidden gem? This is like the thing that people need to know how amazing it is, but may not get as much love as it needs.
So in general, I have a lot of favorite Disney foods that I think people don't always know about. But in Animal Kingdom, I think really is planning your fast passes and like booking more fast passes after you use your 3. And even like I've gotten a fast pass day of for Flight of Passage because Flight of Passage is normally not one of the 3 fast passes that I get, because I do Expedition Everest always. So it's usually like, I'll do Kilimanjaro Safari Fast Pass, I'll do Expedition Everest, and then I'll do like meeting Mickey and Minnie together, because I love the Animal Kingdom is the only park, aside from Magic Kingdom when they had for their 90th birthday, that you can meet them together.
Yeah.
So it's really like you can check the My Disney Experience app for 20 minutes straight and get a different Fast Pass option every time you refresh. And like if it's just 2 people or if it's just 4 people, do one person at a time and book your Fast Pass for them. And I hate that I'm like giving up my secrets, but listen, if you're listening, this is why you listen to Disney podcasters, because they give you those tricks. Book a Fast Pass for one person at a time, and 9 times out of 10, you'll be able to overlap a half-hour window, and everyone could go on the ride together with a Fast Pass.
Yeah, I mean, I used to talk to people all the time. They didn't know what I meant when you said pound the app.
Yeah.
And how you just basically, you like continually refresh for a party of one, and go back and forth within like that half-hour window, and just go like a half hour forward, half hour back, half hour forward, half hour back for a party of one. Book it. And then do the same thing for the next person.
100%. I'm glad I'm not the only person who thought of that.
No, I mean, it's, I would say that, but I think that's and we have a Facebook community that's growing as well. And it's Disney Life. And then in parentheses, it's podcast, because obviously a lot of people live their Disney life. But we have people that come in, and that's a big part of that Facebook community, is sharing like a hot tip like that. Mm-hmm. And, I wanted it not just to be about me promoting the podcast, but it's a resource for people. And that's one thing that when you say, hey, pound the app, people in these groups will say, what does that mean? And then, as a Disney fanatic or as a diehard Disney fan, you don't realize it's like, oh, this is natural. And then I think that was a big part of this project too, was like, let me pass some of these secrets out to people that are, my friends and follow me.
Yeah.
We love doing that. So it's a great tip.
And I love being that person for people, because like I always say, like I'm a great bridesmaid. Like I get so excited for people. I'm like just as excited when my friend's getting married, but I'm the same way with Disney. Like people will come up to me and be like, all right, I think I want to go to Disney. And I'm like, yes, give me your days. Let's plan out your trips. Let me get your fast passes for you. And it like hypes people up for their trip. And Disney can be very overwhelming for someone's first time.
Yeah.
Because you really don't know like how to experience it all. So I kind of think that I'm like their fairy godmother, that I'm like, let's plan your Disney trip. I'm so glad you're doing this. And like you really, teach them the tricks. And I honestly believe that it like helps people get a really great experience when they're going to the parks.
I agree. So real quick, and I try not to get negative with any of my social media or my podcast. What are your thoughts on the decommissioning of Primeval Whirl or on Dino Land in general over in Animal Kingdom? I'm just curious.
So I have to say, like, I'm not going to miss it.
I'm not either.
Like I didn't really go on it. I do like the ride Dinosaur. Like I think it's fun. Yeah. But it's reminds me more of a Universal ride, and like a kind of Disney's a little bit more tame. I like aggressive rides. So like it's not even that aggressive for a ride. So I'm excited to see what they're going to come up with there. Like even like the retheming of Splash Mountain, aside from I'm like, please Disney, leave the possums, Pansy, Poppy, and Petunia. Like it will break my heart if those 3 possums go away. But I'm like, totally fine. Like if Fireflies, like change up the ride, make it fun. Don't get rid of the drop, because you'll break my heart, which they're not going to. Mm-hmm. And like, I trust Disney with the decisions that they're making. And I think that they're really smart and really strategic. And if there's a ride that's not getting a ton of traffic, like it could open up the opportunity for something really great.
I feel like with Dino Land, it was never something that I fully understood, especially in a park devoted to, to animals. I am very hopeful that with that decommissioning of the ride, not that you're ever happy to see, especially a park that needs more rides, to see a ride go away. But I think I held out hope that when I saw that, again, I thought silver lining is maybe now that's the beginning of the thought process for Disney to say, maybe that becomes where the Zootopia land goes.
I love that.
I would love that. Or even Disney is Indiana Jones. There is an Indiana Jones currently in the works. It's in production. It's not being shot and filmed, I don't think, but it's in production. So maybe Disney takes that area of the park and they make that ride, which is the same ride system like Disneyland, and they make that Indiana Jones on Dinosaur.
I also really want there to be like a Tarzan roller coaster where you're like going through the vines and like there's all like I saw Tarzan on Broadway and the set of Tarzan on Broadway, and I talk about it on my Disney Broadway episode because I've seen, again, I'm from New York, I've seen like over 40 plays and I think like 10 Disney Broadway plays, and the whole set was like these giant macrame strings of vines. And the whole production cast was like swinging through these like pigeonhole cubbies from floor to ceiling. And I just think that it would be a cool opportunity for like a really woodsy, through the jungle. And again, I love big rides, like add a giant roller coaster in there. And I think that Animal Kingdom is kind of becoming a little bit more of an adult park. And I mean, I don't have kids yet, so maybe I'm a little biased that I'm okay with stuff like that. You have Pandora is kind of adult. Put something in there where there's like a cool ride like that. I agree. That. Or put like a petting zoo because I love pets.
So this kind of segues to the last thing. Like, any ideas or thoughts on the future of Animal Kingdom? Like what it's missing, what it could add. I mean, we've talked about a bunch in this episode, but yeah. I mean, the Nighttime Spectacular being one that we talked about, saying it needs to get augmented. Maybe some new IP over in that Dinoland area. Anything else that you could think of that the park really needs and is missing?
I mean, I love that Animal Kingdom has so many character interactions, but I think that it's something that is very easily missed because unless you're really checking the My Disney Experience app, there's not like a designated place for it. So I would love to see like a little bit more of a set space to like meet all these different characters, because Animal Kingdom has one of the best character interactions. And I don't think people would realize me saying that like that's real. Like Magic Kingdom has your signature characters, but you could meet like Pocahontas and Miko and Tarzan and Turk and like Princess Ada and Flick from A Bug's Life. Like you could never meet really kind of estranged characters like that. So I think that that's really cool. And I think Disney is the best way to do this, but I would love to see a little bit more animal interaction. Like the fact that there are, and again, like with Disney cast members, with the right supervision, like I would hate to put any animals in a bad space or in a dangerous situation. But like I was looking with my fiance about all the different, like animal tours that you can do. And I think that there's got to be a way to get that to be a little bit of a bigger experience and make it educational, even like feeding the rhinos or feeding the giraffes or just seeing the cast members interact with animals. Like there's so much care that they put into it that's so behind the scenes that I would love to see Disney make that a little bit more public.
Marina, I could talk Animal Kingdom with you for forever.
I know. I feel like there's so many things that we didn't even touch on yet.
This has been really fun too. So like, I'd love it if you join us from time to time. Just one, it's great to have a fellow podcaster on, but two, and I've said this to a lot of the guests, I would love to have you on from time to time to just like geek out on these kind of things.
My answer is always yes.
Awesome. So plug anything that you have upcoming. Like what else are we going to see new from Marina Mouse, and what's coming up from Mini Bows and Magic? Give us some stuff to whet our appetites.
Yeah, so definitely check out my Instagram, Marina Mouse Vlogs. I post almost every day, and you'll get to see, some hidden gems in all the parks, some of my favorite Disney food, really cool magic shots from Disney PhotoPass cast member photographers. I have a YouTube channel also, but Mini Bows and Magic, my podcast, every Friday I have a new episode. I have a Beauty and the Beast episode releasing today. That's just really funny. It's one of my favorite episodes, and I'm actually really excited. I have my cousin Jeanette on it, and she's like Disney crazy like I am. And at one point we talk about Belle's gold dress, and she's like, "You're gonna step on the gold dress," and it's just funny. It's really my favorite episode. But we talk about The Mandalorian. We have an episode about a Disney engagement photo shoot. My fiance and I actually had a COVID Disney couch proposal during the fireworks. But we have a trip coming up in January that I'm so excited to talk about what we do there. So it's just, there's a lot coming up, and definitely check it out because I'm excited for it.
So I'm feeling a crossover event called Mandalorian Mondays.
Oh, I love that.
I don't know if you're on but maybe on Mondays we could team up for a 15-minute special episode for that we can cross promote.
I binge watched the entire Mandalorian season in one day. And I'm not a Star Wars person, but my cousin Anthony is a huge fan. And I'm like posting about a bunch of stuff coming up with The Mandalorian, and he's like, we got to do an episode. And I'm like, all right, I guess I got to watch this. And I loved it.
So
like
great.
I'm converted. I'm a huge Mandalorian fan. So it's something that's easy to watch for people that are not Star Wars fans. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's you don't have to have a lot of background knowledge on the Star Wars universe to just start and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's also got enough Easter eggs and great stuff that for the diehard fans like myself that grew up Star Wars in the 80s, it is chock full of Easter eggs and great stuff. And like it pleases every crowd. That's what I love about it.
100%. I said that about Baby Yoda. I'm like, the best way to get anybody to love a show, from a kid to an adult to a girl, like anything, put the child in it. The cutest Disney. I can't wait for a Baby Yoda meet and greet. It's going to be amazing.
What is not to love about Baby Yoda and his chicken nugget obsession?
I know. I love it. Where did the chicken nuggies come from?
I think that was an internet. I think that
just happened.
It just happened. Like so many things on the internet, you just come back and go, how did this happen? It just happened.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so important to go to Disney so frequently. Like I did a meet and greet that in One Man's Dream in Hollywood Studios, they had Guardians of the Galaxy, and I met Baby Groot.
Yeah.
And like, who knows how many people got to experience. I feel like I'm kind of cool that like a lot of people probably didn't get to meet Baby Groot, and I did.
Yeah, we caught that. We caught that in the last week with Star-Lord. It was so fun.
Yeah, it was so fun. And like, imagine if they do that with the child and the Mandalorian, especially because like that's a great character to be able to meet, because you don't need to see, like, it's tough when you have a face character and like you have, so much that you want them to live up to. And Disney does a really great job with that. But like you have this full steel costume for the Mandalorian with the child is going to be. I really hope
you just need a guy in Mando's costume.
Yeah,
that says this is the way. That's all he could say. I mean, he's very
don't touch that. Like, just
well, the great thing about Mando is he's laconic. He does not say a lot of stuff. And Baby Yoda is, like you said, perfect for a puppet. What an amazing meet and greet that would be. I agree. Yeah. Marina, thank you so much for joining us. I had a blast. This was great.
I feel like I smiled the whole time.
I was smiling the whole time. Thank you so much for joining us. So if you have a chance, we really recommend check her out at Marina Mouse Vlogs on Instagram. Her podcast is called Mini Bows and Magic. We absolutely love it. This was a great episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for living your best Disney life with us today. And have a great weekend, Marina.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Well, folks, that'll do it for another episode of Disney Life Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us again today. And thank you once again to our special guest, Marina Mouse. Please check out her Instagram at Marina Mouse Vlogs. And you can find her podcast, Mini Bows and Magic, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts over at www.disneylifepodcast.com, or you can join our Facebook at Disney Life Podcast in groups. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much again. And I hope that your week is filled with faith, trust, and pixie dust. Take care.